Hello there, I'm Ryan, and welcome to my channel, Analyze This Mr. Bond, where I discuss the adventures of James Bond 007 and dig for what lies beneath the surface. Though today we're actually going to dig into something James Bond adjacent. This is going to be a shorter video. It's been a long week, so bear with me, folks. But I wanted to keep to my upload schedule. As some of you may know, the Mission Impossible film, The Final Reckoning, which is positioned as an end cap to the Mission Impossible film series, is coming out this month, and I've been working my way through the Mission Impossible films in preparation for that film's debut. The obvious entry point into that exercise was the first Mission Impossible film, which came out in 1996 and kicked off the entire phenomenon. That actually happens to be my favorite film in the series, but I'm not here to review it overall. I'm here to talk about one particular element about the 1996 Mission Impossible film that goes underappreciated. The 1996 Mission Impossible film was created in a vacuum. The series really develops its identity around the fourth installment, Ghost Protocol, which, by the way, I think is overall the most entertaining installment in the series. But I think this first film, the 1996 Mission Impossible, is the most cinematically accomplished. It has the smartest script, and it has some really stylish, intelligent direction from the great director, Brian De Palma. I am a big Brian De Palma fan. Brian De Palma has been, in many ways, an underappreciated filmmaker. I think his works are misunderstood and, in some cases, just underseen. But one of the things about understanding Brian De Palma's approach to movie making is that whenever you're watching one of his movies, you want to ask yourself the question, in what way is this film a movie about movies or movie watching? Brian De Palma is a very meta filmmaker, and every time he really approaches genre material, he tends to bring that element to bear on the story he's telling. And it's right here in Mission Impossible. There's a kind of secret subtextual narrative here, and that is using this spy story as a metaphor for filmmaking. That metaphor is expressed very clearly in the opening of the 1996 Mission Impossible. If you haven't seen it, it essentially opens with the IMF team staging a performance in order to extract a confession from an individual who isn't aware that he's in the middle of what is essentially a film set. They get what they need, the film set is disassembled, and it's revealed that the IMF is essentially acting as a kind of film crew and cast in a movie production. That right there is a statement enough, but it teases right before we go into the title sequence. Did we get it? Yeah, we got it. That's the dialogue that clicks things off. That couldn't be more meta. It's just the dialogue between an actor in the scene and a director. And there's this interesting subtext about Ethan Hunt, the spy, being a kind of member on a film crew and learning to become a director, a movie director, over the course of this story. This is a film that positions spy work as primarily being about performance and cameras, and the film is very aware of that sort of subtextual metaphor as it sets up its set pieces. The subtext carries forward after the title sequence happens, and Jim Phelps, Ethan Hunt's mentor, gets his initial briefing. Well, he's given the briefing after being asked the question whether or not he wants to watch a movie. The IMF briefing he's given is in fact a movie. Again, pulling forward this thematic idea that subtextually this is really all about movies and movie making. And if you haven't seen the Mission Impossible film, I advise that you stop here because I'm going to get into significant story spoilers. But what happens is that it's revealed that Jim Phelps is a traitor. And what he does in the opening of this movie, this wonderful set piece where Ethan Hunt's team is taken out one by one as he struggles to understand what's going on, Jim Phelps effectively stages a false movie. Jim Phelps in this story is the evil film director. He's the cynic who sells out for cash and creates a fraudulent movie. He creates a film that is an act of deception an act of manipulation and effectively abandons all his collaborators who are in it for the right reasons. This is a very literal idea. The exact deception that Jim Phelps enacts on protagonist Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise, is that he stages a film. He stages a film where it looks like he's been assassinated on a bridge. Really, it's just a trick of the camera. This is a classic De Palma move. De Palma builds movies about the way that the camera can lie and the camera can reveal truth. And in fact, what Ethan Hunt has to learn how to do over the course of the story is how to use the camera to reveal truth. So Ethan Hunt has to kind of assemble his own film crew. He has to go get his own shady financier. He reaches out to Vanessa Redgrave's wonderful Max and uses the funding he gets from her to compile his own sort of IMF team, his own metaphorical film crew. And then they stage this grand finale where they once again use cameras to make a movie. But in this case, Jim Phelps is the subject and the camera reveals him as the traitor. Ethan Hunt becomes a film director, and unlike his mentor, he uses the movie machine to reveal the truth. It's a story about cameras, about surveillance, about cameras as a tool of manipulation and cameras as a tool of revelation. That tension runs deep throughout Brian De Palma's work, and it's right here in Mission Impossible. And I, as a Brian De Palma fan, really appreciate the intelligence of that idea, and I just wanted to talk about it here, bring it up with you all, as no doubt many of you are going back and watching the Mission Impossible movies just as I am. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this idea. I'll be talking with you down in the comments as always, and I'll catch you in the next one.